Home, Chapter 14. A Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction written and narrated by Mira Rose. Artwork provided by XAA. You can find a link to the artist's Tumblr in the description box below. If you haven't listened to the previous 13 chapters of this story, you can find a link to them in the description box below. And if you haven't subscribed for some reason at this point, go ahead and do that and hit the bell to stay up to date on the latest parts of your favorite fanfictions. Now then, don't forget to leave a like, and if you're still listening to this intro, comment Intro Squad. Chapter 14. For some reason, Kat wasn't able to convince himself to go inside the Dupang Chang bakery today. No, instead he paced outside its doors from across the street, worrying he looked like a madman. Hopefully Ladybug wasn't on patrol, else he'd get an earful for sure. But, observing the bakery from a distance, Cat Noir saw trouble. A group of schoolchildren, no older than 10 or 11, were arguing outside as they crossed the street and passed the bakery. One kid stopped in his tracks, nearly in tears, as one of them continued to yell, only pausing to smirk at the end of each sentence. Cat clenched his fists, ready to find out what was going on. He scurried across the street to where the potential bully stood and grabbed his shoulder. The kid jerked back, taking a few steps away from him when, without warning, Cat felt a waterfall rain down on him. A waterfall in Paris? He'd been splashed with water from the sky, but science didn't work that way. An Akuma, perhaps? He looked up, too distracted to worry about the kids, to see Marinette covering her mouth in surprise as she held a watering can. She mouthed an apology, grimacing at her own actions, before tossing down a towel. Cat's mouth twisted upward, knowing he could tease her about this. He debated yelling at her from below, but he was a superhero, so he may as well take advantage of it. Bounding up to the balcony, Cat landed in front of Marinette, pausing his hello until after he shook the water off of himself like a dog. Hey! Marinette threw her hands up in front of her as the droplets forced her back. I thought cats were more refined than that. I'm not the princess sloshing plant water on the passers-by below, Cat teased, still shaking his head violently in an attempt to land the last few flecks of water on her. It wasn't meant for you, she confessed. Oh? Cat leaned in closer, balancing his weight on the baton that brought him to the patio. He didn't mean to draw so near, but they were already close to begin with, and if he didn't redirect his attention, he'd be hyper-aware of her breath on his cheeks. Those kids were harassing that boy, so I meant to, accidentally slosh them with water. Until this black knight appeared? Until an alley cat got in the way. Her response came with a smirk, arms crossed with her weight on her back leg as she looked up at him. Sighing, Cat admitted defeat and took a step back, knowing it wouldn't be natural to keep his face near hers. If this were a storybook, that would be a great way for the romantic lead to meet their partner, he said, eyebrows wiggling. You never stop, do you, kitty? He smiled in response, but it was more of a self-smoothing smile. There were times she reminded him of Ladybug, but he couldn't quite pin it. Must be his type. Regardless, the comment was made of marmalade, bittersweet and nostalgic. Come on, let's dry you off inside, Marinette said, opening the doorway for him. They tumbled inside, Cat's foot slipping on the bottom step and crashing both of them into her desk. Besides the obvious ouch that ensued, a box had flipped over, and out came pictures of him. Well, pictures of Adrian. He felt his face reddening for some reason as Marinette scrambled over his fallen body in an attempt to hide the photos, clipped from magazines and centerfolds. Sorry? Cat picked himself up before grabbing a few photos and handing them to her. You saw nothing, she hissed, stuffing the pictures back into the box and sliding it under her desk. Yeah, copy that. Cat excused himself to the restroom, trying not to take note of why she was so embarrassed. Locking the door and looking at himself in the mirror, Cat realized his cheeks were the same color hers had been. Huh. Why should he be so embarrassed? He was a model. Of course girls had photos of him. But this was Marinette. Marinette, who saw him at school time and time again. Why did she need so many photos? He didn't get it, but was somehow embarrassed, or perhaps pleased? Marinette spent so much time looking at him. Well, that wasn't the best way to phrase it, but most girls keep boxes of photos of boys because they idolize them, right? Yeah, it was because he was an idol. And she wanted to be a fashion designer. Yeah. Oh, who was he kidding? If it was about fashion, she'd have boxes of runway dresses and famous designer magazines, right? So then why... Was he her idol crush? No. No. Was that why she was so heartbroken hearing he had a girlfriend? Cat's face burned at the realization. He was wrong, though, right? Oh, Camembert. It wasn't possible, right? She didn't like him, did she? This was horrible. If she liked Adrian, then he had no chance because he couldn't date her then. His father would never be okay with it. He already had a girlfriend, and he liked how she treated Cat Noir better than Adrian. Cat sat on the toilet, top down, in defeat. Regardless of if he was the subject of her affection, it didn't matter. He couldn't win, even against himself. Wow, kind of a Debbie Downer thought, huh? His thoughts left him embarrassed in a way he couldn't articulate. It wasn't like a I messed up embarrassment. It felt like his entire being was an embarrassment. It felt like the time he read Taylor Swift's poem, Why She Disappeared, when she stated, "Whatever you say, it is not right. Whatever you do, it is not enough." He never felt like enough, unless he was here. But he was here, and didn't feel like enough. So now what? Now what? Thank you so much for listening. Chapter 15 is on its way. In the meantime, you can check out these other fan fictions here on this channel, and I will catch you in the next one. If you've listened this long, comment Taylor Swift. Why not? Comment Taylor Swift. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!